How's it going? Today I want to talk about Pokemon wins and waves and what potentially these starter Pokemon could be based on, their mythology, which also could indicate to us what they're going to evolve into. So if you guys are ready, let's get right into it. Starting things off, we're going to be taking a look at, of course, what these guys look like because they are kind of adorable. You guys may have seen them already, but yes, these are our starter Pokemon: Browt, Pombon, and of course, Gecqua. Now, these guys all have a description. Of course, Browt is the bean chick Pokemon. It is apparently a very energetic Pokemon. It's got big eyebrows, and you actually can notice something with the design here, which is that its eyebrows literally are in the shape of leaves. And then the same thing you can see down here with Pombon, which is the puppy Pokemon. You've got literally a flame, like a flame icon on the tip of its head. And then down here on Gecqua, you have the shape of a water drop on its forehead. So all of them have some element of their typing literally embedded right into their designs. But yeah, all of them are different things. The water gecko, of course, the puppy Pokemon, and of course, the bean chick. So we're going to take a look at a bunch of theories that people have put together. So again, a massive shout out to all the people who sent these things to me, who've mentioned these things, and who shared these tweets with me and all that. So first things first, of course, is you guys may be aware of this one theory that has existed in Pokemon for a long time, which I don't think is true anymore, but is this theory that essentially the different Pokemon are based on a specific thing. So basically any and all of the grass types are all based on some form of extinct animal, right? That's the theory that's been running. However, it's not necessarily one that has been followed through past like maybe Gen 4, I would say. Not necessarily something that fits. Then there's also the Chinese Zodiacs being used for fire types, which I think kind of fell apart once we got to Skeledirge. People are trying to say that maybe Skeledirge is like the year of the snake or something like that, but it doesn't really fit. And then, of course, you have the sea animals, which, if you look there, they're all combined with a weapon usually, besides, I guess, Quaquaval, because I cannot really see that one fitting. But that was one of the theories people had in the past. I don't really see that working anymore, so I don't think this theory really fits. But there is actually a really cool breakdown on the name and some of the basis for the starters here by Pokisutami, because she does speak Japanese. She's really amazing, by the way. Do check out her YouTube channel because she makes awesome translations for Pokemon stuff and rumors and leaks and that kind of stuff over on her YouTube channel as well, so please check that out. But here's what she says, though, which is Japanese name meanings. Browt, or Haburo. This name could have a potential factors. So the first letter could be from ha or happa, which means leaf, or habu for herb. Also, the following here could be from the word blow, as in blowing wind. It's also likely from eyebrow, in the brow being prominent, which, yes, you got the literal eyebrows, Browt, Browt. And also, I think in English, if you look at the name brow and Browt, right? So a brow is your eyebrows, correct, right? But the Browt is also kind of like mixing in the word for sprout. If you think about it, a sprout is a tiny little, the beginning of a plant, right? So it makes sense because it is a grass type. Also, the fact that there's a mention of potentially there being some words like wind in there could maybe imply it's going to be, again, it is a bird, so it being grass flying type would not be that crazy. Potentially, we know that the starter version here is just pure grass, but you never know. The evolution might be something else. Also, the ro at the end is taken from the word fukuro, meaning owl. So yes, it is an owl, in case you weren't convinced it was an owl already. But yes, it is an owl Pokemon. So again, a lot of the theories currently, and at least my theory as well, is that I think this fellow is going to grow up to be a big burly owl. I mean, we already have Rowlit, which is my entire channel's mascot, so it's kind of the reason I might have to go for this guy, because I mean, come on, it's just like it's Rowlit's brother. But yeah, I'm considering this thing most likely will grow up to be some sort of larger bird owl looking thing, very bulky most likely, rather than being something that's going to look sleek and whatever. So we'll see how that turns out. But that was one of the first theories about this thing. There is also this theory right here, which is really cool, from Ro Martins over on Twitter. And basically what they said is the new starter is based on a giant parrot from New Zealand. This parrot doesn't fly and it's nocturnal. Oh, so there you have it, mates. This starter could be grass dark. This is an interesting theory, okay? It's a very interesting theory, huh? So the theory for him here is that it's based on this owl, which I guess is an owl. I guess it's in specifically found in New Zealand, right? It's a giant parrot from New Zealand. We can look that up specifically to see if there's any further details. We can the kakapau, okay, the kakapau. So if this thing is flightless, if it's actually flightless and doesn't fly, then this could mean that the flying typing theory that I just had completely goes out the window if this is what they based it on, because then they could give it completely other typings. They could keep it weird and go with a ghost typing, just for whatever reason if they really want to. But I think most likely what makes more sense, given that it's a cute little bird, okay? It doesn't look evil. It doesn't look like he's dying inside. He looks very cute. So I feel like the dark typing as suggested here by Ro Martins actually makes a lot of sense. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. So yeah, I don't know. Also, apparently, literally, it's described as a cockerel. Last form, he's being, could be a giant, I guess, chicken. But again, this, I don't know if necessarily that is to be taken as seriously, because if we look at the website here, it's the bean chick. So will they necessarily stick to that 100%, right? Will they stick to that idea of like being I mean, they probably would, but at the same time, the fact that there is like this feeling of like there's a part in its name that kind of seems to imply a little bit like it's an owl. I don't know, man. It's interesting. It could be a giant chicken. It could be something else. But I do like this theory, though, as well, that it could be based on this parrot. Again, it could be that it's not, but we'll see. Also, there is a theory here from Eteri. If we follow the idea of a grass-type starter being based in extinct or high risk of extinction species, which is, like I said, that previous theory that we had right there. If we go off of this, I do think that Browt's evolution line will be based in the Iphoronis elephant bird, endemic to Madagascar. Moreover, their description is focused on them running and not flying, which again, it seems like everybody's kind of on this page of this thing is not going to fly. At least that seems to be indication for most people, right? That it's not going to be a flying bird of any kind. It's going to be landlocked. You can see down here also, I think they're going to use the long eyebrow birds like the King of Saxony bird of paradise and yours to add the concept. Imagine a big non-flying bird tied to the earth plants with long eyebrows that move when reaching high speeds, maybe even charging electricity and photosynthesis, which is a cool idea. And you can even see here game theory from Orchtrans, who actually says a similar thing. This bird, which has these massive eyebrows, right? This weird little bird, which is the King of Saxony bird of paradise, which is what a long name. It's a New Guinea bird, which yes, New Guinea is in that part of like, well, that's like Oshi. I mean, New Guinea is in that part of the world. So like in you know, like Southeast Asia, like that area, that space, New Zealand, all that. It's around there. But it's a New Guinea bird known for the male's extraordinary head plumes, which are these giant eyebrow-looking things, which, yeah, man, I don't know, dude. That actually makes total sense. That actually would be really, really, like, fitting. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, that seems like the most close thing we can find. Obviously, the color theme and stuff is not going to be identical or anything, but the general concept, and the fact that you have the black, like, bottom and the yellow top here, whereas here, you have the inverse. You have the black bottom and the yellow top on its body. So, honestly, this looks like the most likely bird they're going to base it on, which is, again, what a long name. King of Saxony, bird of paradise. Most likely what they're going to base it on. So, yeah, again, could be something else. Could be that they go for something completely different. We'll have to wait and see. There is also other predictions, of course, which right here we got Yami, who says, my prediction for Browt will be most likely a grass fighting type, but if they lean into the Garuda-inspired design because of the Southeast Asian theme, we might finally get our first grass dragon dual typing, which would be absolutely insane. I have seen actually a few people saying that these starters, and I actually have a weird like prediction. What if all of these starters get a secondary dragon type? I mean, the fire dog, the gecko, you know, and the water type, and, you know, the grass type bird. What if all of them actually get a dragon secondary typing? I don't know, man. I think it's highly possible. I'm just gonna be honest. But yeah, we'll see. Also, same theory here. The idea of it being like sort of a taller, athletic, raptor-like bird body with muscular legs. I totally could see that happen with this fella. I am scared that he's going to be really fat and chunky. I want him to look kind of sleek and cool at the end because I want him to go from this, like, I want him to like Bird Max, okay? I want him to Bird, what am I saying, dude? I want him to Bird Max and go from being like this chunky little bird with massive eyebrows who was bullied in school to then just being like this like massive legs, like freaking ostrich looking, mofo is about to just roll through all of your teams. That's what I want to see with my boy Browt. So yeah. Again, it's just theories and all that. It's just fun to talk about. Now let's move over to one of the other starter Pokemon, which is going to be Pombon, which is an interesting little fella. But here, in the case of Pombon, I think that it is going to become a Barong. And Barong is a mythical guardian creature of from, I guess, Balinese culture, connected to the idea of good. Combining the idea of a friendly guardian dog with a mythical guardian would be great, which, I mean, I wouldn't mind that. Theory here is Fire Fairy, but again, I don't know, man. I wouldn't mind a dragon typing added in there. I'm just gotta be honest, man. I think it'll be pretty neat. And Atari does actually have another theory over here about Gecqua, which I guess we can take a look at that as well real quick. But this one is that Gecqua is inclined to think that it will be based in the flying gecko, which is and the Komodo dragon. Both species can be found in Southeast Asia and are very intelligent. I think it will have some type of gimmick around using balls of water and traps, like it is hinted in its description. Which, I mean, dude, I've never really heard of a flying gecko, but I could see that being the case. Like, I could see that fitting this Pokemon just overall. And here's actually another, like, I guess, a bit of a theory from someone who, in a reply, who I guess doesn't kind of agree. He says this highly unlikely since the knowledge is kind of niche, but Pokemon of Batak from northern Sumatra are known to use gecko. People, sorry, not Pokemon, are to use gecko or lizard ornaments in their houses, and Grimoire as a representation for Boraspati Notano, the god of fertility, earth, and underworld, so they get this blessing and protection. It's a cool thing to know. It is niche, but again, it is the Pokemon Company, and they are very commonly likely to go out and seek out very, very niche things to base stuff on, right? They often look up very niche details, very niche information to base their their character designs, their Pokemon designs, their Pokemon evolutions, their names, everything. Pokemon does really in-depth work in that regard. So that's all I'm going to say in that. But yeah, let's go back over to our doggo though, because we do have a Japanese name meanings here from Poketsutami again, but this time for Pombon or Pomuken, which is the Japanese name. So this name is a bit more straightforward than the others. Pomu is derived from the word which means dog breed of Pomeranian, because yes, this thing is based on the Pomeranian. You guys may know these dogs. I only know them because usually very, very blonde women own these, and these dogs I feel like are usually mistreated, which is really unfortunate because they are cute, but they can also be very aggressive even though they're small. By the way, this thing looks adorable, okay? Pombon is cute. He's not like that. But it's also a shorthand for the breed is what this word means. Ken is another word for, I guess, Inu, which means dog. So yeah, there you go. Pretty much, it's just a fire dog. It's a fire Pomeranian, pretty much. There's not really much else to say in that regard, but there is some stuff about potentially some other things could be based on. So Pombon, the fire-type starter, could be inspired by the Pomeranian dog breed, obviously, and a small-sized breed that is particularly widespread as a household pet in Southeast Asia. And in Europe, it's oftentimes, like I said, blonde women. Its final evolution could be based on mythological creature Barong, specifically the Barongket. Barongket is the lion-like form of Barong, also called the Banaspati Raja, king of the jungle, and its appearance is similar to a dog. In animist traditions, Barong is the forest guardian spirit typical of Austronesian cultures, which, again, it's the same thing we looked at earlier. So, like, I think there they mentioned it was, like, from Bali specifically, but, again, you guys will see it. A lot of people think that this could be what it's based on. I kind of had a bit of an agreement with this one right here, that it could actually, they could go for the, I forgot what these guys are called, but it's basically these like terracotta, like lion-shaped looking, like lion-shaped statues or whatever, dog-shaped statues that are very common in anywhere in just Asia in general. You will find these very often. And also, this is like for Chinese like New Year's and Sela festivals and stuff. They will have these like almost dragon-looking like things that they do performances with, which is really cool. But yeah, if they go for that, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I do love, by the way, like DO9 Best, like the great art, by the way, great artist, makes really, really awesome art. But next up, we have the Japanese meaning for Gecqua. So of course, here we have the name is Miori, and the Mio is in the name is likely referring to a waterway or channel of water. And then the next part comes probably from Imori, and that means newt. So, and then Yamori meaning gecko. So a newt, I forget, how do I explain a newt to someone? How do I explain a newt? I guess we have to like just look up. So newts, little tiny little salamanders. It's a little lizard, right? More or less. But yeah, that's pretty much the meaning for it, which, again, what it could turn into, we'll have to wait and see. We have some theories here from Hawkshaw, who says, I guess names for its evolution, Geckorent, which is a play on gecko and torrent, which is pretty cool, and Hydroko, which is hydraulics, relating to the science of hydraulics and water, plus gecko from Gekkota, these are pretty interesting names. Again, we'll have to wait and see what they actually choose, but cool theories. Also, here's a theory from Pokemon Millennium about these, which they say, their speculation is that Gecqua, a water-type starter, could be inspired by the Tokay gecko, gecko, a lizard which is widespread in Southeast Asia. Many features of this gecko are similar to Gecqua's, a bluish body, large vertical pupils, and feet that end in both cases with wide flat toe pads. The Tokay gecko has such an onomatopoeia name because the male emits a very loud and distinct call. Even the name Gecqua sounds very musical and pronounced, just like Miori in Japanese. Its evolutionary line could therefore evolve into a larger reptile, even though the Tokay gecko is already the second largest gecko, such as Komodo dragon, for example, which is, again, highly possible. I wouldn't mind it, man. And also, I can see the resemblance here, because it's like the feet, or the what would you call them? Feet, or like pads or whatever, are not like connected or anything. Like they're kind of widespread, which you do see that here too, which is pretty neat. Next up though, we do have some other theories. Again, this is just an overall theory for all of these, again, from Pokemon Millennium. So shout out to Pokemon Millennium for this, by the way. But they just made like a kind of a breakdown of all of this. So Browt could be based on the Cacapao, Pombon, Pomeranian dog breed with mythological creature Barong as a reference for its evolutions, and Gecqua, the Tokay gecko. These starters might share a unifying theme, which is music, or more generally, sounds. Which makes you wonder, will we get a sound typing in this game? Because people have always wondered, when are we going to get a Pokemon sound type? Because that would actually fit really well. Browt and Cacapao are famous for their leaking? A system where males use their calls to attract females, often utilizing burrows dug into the ground to amplify the sound. Pombon or Barong, the Balinese culture, Barong doesn't exist without its music. The Barong dance is intrinsically linked to a percussion instrument orchestra. Additionally, during the dances, an iconic sound of noise of its jaw. Also, by the way, Pomeranians are pretty loud. They do love to bark. And then Gecqua, Tokay gecko, as already mentioned in the water starter dedication post, the male Tokay gecko emits a very onomatopoeia and distinct call, practically a vocalization. So we could have Gecqua, vocalization or voice, Pombon for rhythm, and Browt for, I guess, amplification and bass. Again, it's a really cool theory, because if you guys remember, like the last generation, they always based it off of something, right? It was always based on some sort of like either a sport or something, or like some form of entertainment. Like I think if you look back to like Generation 8, there I think was all based on some form of like British entertainment, right? So you had one for sports, right, with Cinderace. You had one for movies, because you had like Intellion, supposed to be intelligence, blah blah, whatever. Reference to, if I'm not mistaken, just James Bond and movies, like a movie star, because the way he moves, or like a spy or an agent, like 007. And then, of course, you had Rillaboom, which was supposed to be for music, right? A drummer, because the UK was the birthplace of punk, like punk rock and stuff. And, of course, it's a place where a lot of like famous and large musicians are from. So maybe they're doing something here, too, where they're going for like sound, sound as the basis for these guys, which we'll see if that's the case. Again, here we have Vens, who said that this is the Mahili Fino Dathai era. So I guess he's trying to say this is the era of a combination of a bunch of different things from, I guess, Southeast Asia and just that part of the world. And again, I do wonder if we're going to get a cockfighting Browt as a final evolution. That is very curious. However, here we have a theory from TKC Skyliker, which is a Japanese account, I think, who says that they have a bit of a theory that they kind of worry that it's a bit controversial, but they think that the owl, Sofuro owl, which serves as a motif for a divine bird, Garuda, so the final evolution is Garuda. Pumpkin ultimately becomes a lion-like, turning into Pokemon with the sacred beast Baron as a motif, which we already spoke about that. And then, of course, the last one, Miori, which is Gecqua, I guess, Komodo dragon. Just a small little theory. We'll see if they go for something like that. Again, we've already spoken about it a little bit. And then a Soul Silver, of course, our friend, he did come through as well and say the Browt, what could it become? It's a chick, but its Japanese name suggests an owl, which is nocturnal. Some say it will become a Cacapao, an owl parrot of New Zealand, the only flightless nocturnal parrot. But this is the first stage, and it's literally already that, and a mix of barred eagle owl eyebrows from Indonesia. So it could evolve from these birds into, and it's based on it's something else. I think it's most likely going to be that weird bird with the long eyebrows from New Zealand. I think that is the most likely scenario, in my honest opinion. At least that's what I think. But yeah, Again, we'll have to wait and see, right? Also, here is, again, the highlight of all the different points on these guys where they actually have the color of their typing intrinsically tied into their, actual designs, which is really cool. They always have that, but this is like really, really specific, right? Which is really awesome. Also, there's a theory again for Gecqua here from our boy Soulsilver, says it is based on a fat-tailed gecko. At least that's what he thinks. But I think specifically the variable fat-tailed gecko of Australia, similar short tail, but also in Singapore, researchers discovered Asian house geckos that could run on water. Gecqua's Japanese name also includes newt, and newts are rare in the Malay archipelago, but apparently the crocodile/warty newt is sometimes found in Indonesia. This is another potential point of inspiration, especially when considering all the strip and water drops marking the Gecqua's body, which we'll see. Okay, we'll see. Then also, here's a beautiful theory from Dark and Windy, which is another one of our friends who makes some awesome art. But here's what they had to say. So they thought, okay, if you look back at some of the previous games, like it's just, again, it's a theory, so just bear with. But if you look back at some of the previous games, like for example, Legends Arceus, people kind of assumed that was an inspiration for what the typings were going to be, or like that they kind of hinted at the typings in Arceus to the typings of the Scarlet and Violet, like secondary typings, which was true, by the way, because you'll notice the fire type is Fire Ghost in both games. The Water Dark is Grass Dark, and then the Grass Fighting is Water Fighting, right? So they just kind of did an inverse there. But then here, for this, the theory is that going right now, which is Grass Fairy to Fire Fairy, Fire Fighting to Grass Fighting, and then Water Dragon to Water Dragon, which honestly, that would be kind of based. I ain't even gonna lie. Also, the basis for what these could be based on here, like the actual theory for these fellas could be based on, they think the Malay game, which is a breed of game chicken, it is among the tallest breeds of chickens and may stand over 90 centimeters. They're found in Southeast Asia. They are in the Malay Peninsula, and if we see down here, it is let's see. The Malay is kept mostly for showing, and Malay birds were present in Germany and the Netherlands by about 1834. So I don't know, bro. I don't know, man. Like, this Pokemon runs about energetically. It photosynthesizes using the leaves on its brow. It's lively, but it can also be a bit clumsy. Dude, it could literally be the Malay game bird. It could be this big chicken that just, it looks crazy. Then the Keshond. So this is a theory about, Pombon. So the typing guess here is firefighting over here, but then over here, fire fairy or fire dark. So this thing is heat generating organs with its lungs, which connects to this breed of dog called the Keshond, which, as we can see down here, they are known by their loud, distinctive bark, which I don't know how that connects, but fair enough. They're also known as the Smiling Dutchman, Dire Pomeranian. So again, that connects well. The origin is the Netherlands. And also, again, there is a lot of connection between, again, the Netherlands did do a lot of, let's just put it into like words, colonization in that part of the world back in the day. And as such, a lot of stuff was, brought over there or taken from there or vice versa, that would have impacted things in terms of history, right? Including dog breeds. But here's what they say, though, here, that again, this Pokemon is guileless, and friendly. So basically a little dum-dum. Although loud and alert, Keshonds are not aggressive towards visitors, friendly disposition. So yeah, that actually fits perfectly. And they are found in the Malay Peninsula. Then finally, we have Gecqua, which could be, again, that Tokay gecko, which we already know, right? That this Pokemon, as we can see here, this Pokemon launches springly balls of water from its tail. Gecqua is very intelligent and maneuvers shrewdly while putting on airs. And of course, we see it's in the Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam. Regional folklore has attributed supernatural powers to the gecko. In Southeast Asia, it's a symbol of good luck and fertility. It's believed to be descendants of dragons, which, yes, dude, a dragon, water dragon. Sheesh, man. I don't know, dude. That actually would make total sense. I think it's probably my favorite theory, so I'm going to retweet it because it's amazing. I love this one. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions on it. There is also some other theories, like from Naifa here, who says, Winds and Waves starter theory based on the locations of the game looking very Southeast Asian inspired. The three starters represent three Filipino mythical beasts. At least that's what he thinks. Pombon, Arimaonga, then Browt, Minokawa, and Gecqua Bakunawa. I don't know anything about these, but I can see what they're going for. I can see what you mean here as a theory, which again, there could be more than one inspiration, right? Doesn't have to be one thing. Also, somebody noticed that at the paw on Pombon, it actually has like the Japanese, like I think kanji for for fire, which is pretty neat. And then we also have, again, another theory, Southeast Asian mythology crash course by our little friend here by the name of Ray, who has a lovely little thing. So we have the, I guess, predictions for what it could look like. They think it's going to be a grass flying type. Third evolution would be an eagle. Then Barong for the second one. So it could be a large dog or a lion. And then a naga or a giant Komodo bird, water dragon down there. They say, let's start with Garuda, a Hindu bird god that will instantly be familiar to most cultures of mainland or maritime Southeast Asians. In most depictions, it is appears as a personification of courage and vigilance, which is why I gave Browt either grass flying or grass steel. I don't know. I mean, grass fighting would also fit. Just saying. Then we have Barong, which is the Lord Protector and Chief Spirit of the goddess in Balinese mythology, appears as a large lion-like creature who is destined to fight and destroy Rangda, its evil counterpart for all eternity. I gave it, and by extension Pombon, the fire fairy typing as it reflects this. And then finally, Naga, or Gecqua, I guess, in this case. Also familiar with most of the Southeast Asians, the Naga is a protective water spirit and appears in the form of a dragon, who also refers to the largest lizard species as Naga or the Komodo, the dragon of Komodo here. So I decree water dragon or water poison. I think water dragon seems more likely nowadays, but yeah. Either way, interesting thing to note is that the king of Nagas, Wasuki, stands as the eternal arch nemesis of Garuda, Lord of the Winds. This is probably where the winds and waves name for the new games comes from. I doubt that that's what they got the names from, but maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe that's what they based on, but why would the starters have to do with that? Either way, also, as the all the IRL statues pictures I used in the OP are from the island of Bali, where all three creatures are present and whose Balinese culture I think Game Freak took the most inspiration from, since it is the most touristy place in Indonesia, like Parisian culture for Kalos, which is very, very, very fair. And then final post, slightly unrelated, you cannot believe how much cultural merchandising Pokemon has done in Indonesia for the last few years. I told all my friends, look, like to go and open a Pokemon here, they're gonna make a Pokemon region here. And they did, which, yes, that is pretty cool. So yeah, that's some of that. I think pretty much that covers most of the stuff. There is this other theory from Yorodin, who also says he thinks that potentially we have a parrot, a singing dog, and a gecko for starters, and then what they could be based on, the Tokay, New Guinea singing dogs, and of course the same little bird. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all the theories that I've seen for these fellas as of now, and as you know, as far as I could tell and what I could find. If you guys have any better theories, let me know in the comment section down below. And if you are from anywhere in Southeast Asia, please comment and tell me, are you happy with like a region being based on your part of the world, that whether you're Filipino, Indonesian, Bali, New Guinea, New Zealand, I guess is kind of a bit further away, but still, you know, are you happy that they're basing it off of your part of the world? Like, are you happy that you finally get to see something that's based on your part of this planet, which I think is really fun and cool? Let me know. And also, are you happy with the starters, guys? Let me know in the comment section down below. Tell me what guys are going to be choosing for a starter. I'd love to know. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.